Oh my gosh, what are we doing? I don't know. Hey everyone, it's Travis Licata here, and I'm back with another Whiny Parent podcast episode where I'm covering Survivor Season 40 Winners at War. Um, another stellar episode. The season does not let me down at all in any way. Um, so I'm excited to touch on episode 4 of this season. So I'll go over a few highlights. Before I do that, I want to give an update on the draft, the Whiny Parent draft, where Megan and I picked teams at the beginning of the season, and it's not going well for me. It's just uh, Megan's team, which is called Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Better. Yet again, earns another point this week for most confessionals. Ethan had the most confessionals this week, so he earned a point for Megan's team. I again didn't earn squat. So Megan is absolutely destroying me this season. So to this day, she has 3 points, while I am still not at zero. I have minus 1 point. So it's not looking good. Not looking good at all for me. Um, After we did the draft, I thought Megan might have had the best team after we drafted the players, and now I really think my team name is coming back in full force. And if you're joining me for the first time, my team name is My Wife is Right. So Megan is crushing me, and I think we can just move on. So, um, but before we get to highlights, I want to briefly talk to you about whinyparent.com. Megan and I started the Whiny Parent to share our parenting adventures and struggles. We talk about some of our highs and lows and also give some parenting tips, date night ideas, product recommendations. And the entire time we're doing it, we're hoping to provide a lighthearted outlet for other parents to relate to. So please stop by whinyparent.com and follow our blog. We release content on Tuesdays and Thursdays each week, most of the time. So new content will be sent to you as soon as it's published. You can also connect with the Whiny Parent on social media, and you can find us on Facebook and Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram, and all of our channels. That's at Whiny Parent. So at WINEY Parent. Okay, now let's move to a few highlights. And yes, let's start with the Edge of Extinction. No, I don't think this element to the game is perfect because it hinders the basic element of the game. But what Jeff Probst wants to see is the inspiration that comes with powering through such a miserable existence on the EOE. Uh, so the scene with Ethan is pretty tough to watch. First, my initial thought is that it's such a dangerous challenge. The lack of food is one thing, but the lack of water, or I'm assuming a lack of water, is what had Megan and me both concerned. We were definitely worried that something might happen. And Ethan did need the medical team to come in to make sure he was okay when he was basically on the verge of fainting. For the most important thing, I'm glad Ethan is okay. That's the number one thing. Next, I want to talk about the strength of all of them, including Natalie, Amber, and Danny, who all completed this challenge. And then knowing that Ethan was struggling, everyone giving each other like these encouraging words. And then after Natalie, Amber, and Danny finish, and they know that Ethan's on his final run, all of them go with him. I mean, how amazing is that sequence? I think regardless of what anyone thinks of EOE, I mean, I think it speaks to the whatever sincere connection gets involved with being adrift on the edge of extinction. Um, now, I understand how a lot of people feel about EOE. I do just want to highlight that the way those sequences were produced, and then seeing the support that each player was showing each other during that fire token challenge, it's incredibly encouraging to see. So if you don't like EOE, that's fine. I'm like I said, it's not my favorite thing, but I want to highlight such a positive moment because of all else. I'm glad that everyone made it through that challenge without being sent home because I feel like I was ready to collapse after watching everyone else hike up that mountain 20 times. So, I mean, yeah, I that's a insane challenge. Uh, Next up, my next highlight is the immunity challenge. So last week I predicted that I didn't see any way Sele tribe, the blue tribe, wouldn't go back to tribal council. My prediction was that they'd go back and Parvati would be voted out because she was the initial plan last week. So I was wrong there. And I'm happy I was wrong. I am such a huge Jeremy fan, and I'm glad he didn't have to go back to tribal council. And I'm a fan of a lot of people this season. Don't get me wrong, but I I also don't like it when one tribe goes back to tribal council again and again and again. I don't think it's as exciting. I I think it can lead to kind of a hey, once we get to the merge, then the dominant tribe just picks off the remaining members. So this season has that brutal element of oh yes, this person is safe, immediately followed by the oh no, someone goes home that you don't want to go home. But before I get too far off course, let's talk about the challenge and what a comeback. Now, the immunity challenge after Amber was voted off, the challenge was a blowout. It seemed like Boston Rob was distracted from learning that Amber was gone. Whether that's the case or not, who knows? Last week, Sully seemed minutes behind, and Boston Rob and Michelle caught up with only one piece left before the DeCall tribe won. This week, the Blue tribe was so far behind, and Denise and Parvati and Adam kept trying to grab that key that was out over a ledge where they had to jump and land in the water, and basically what we saw on TV that it was Adam that kept going back and back and back again and again. Maybe because I don't know, was he the tallest one, so he had the best chance of reaching it? And after each miss, I was just kept getting bummed out because there's no way they're going to win. And at this point, the call had a good portion of their puzzle completed. And even though they seemed stuck when they were like the halfway mark, Adam kept missing. And then when he was even able to grab that final key and get in the boat, it's like, okay, they're still too far behind. And can I say, when he got into the boat, Megan and I both noticed, like, he essentially just collapsed in the boat and he was just laying there. And I can only imagine how exhausted Adam had to be at that moment and after the challenge was completed. I mean, that's a massive effort. So the blue tribe gets to the puzzle part of the challenge, and it seems like it only takes a minute for them to catch up to the red tribe. And before you know it, Michelle and Boston Rob crush this puzzle. It was such a fun moment, a great moment, because I don't know how long it took for them to actually catch up, but they were so far behind. And for them to come back and win, is it the best or one of the best come from behinds. So I'd love for there to be a discussion online of like how this compared to other challenges, like how far a tribe was in coming back, like how many minutes were they behind, how far back in the challenge were they. So I'd love for there to be discussion online to see how this compares to other challenges in past seasons. Um, so I think with a season with all winners and you have this come from behind effort, it just kind of highlights like how invested everyone is to these people that are playing these return winners. So um, great moment. Love the challenge. Okay, third highlight goes to Queen Sandra. She's won the game twice. She doesn't participate in the challenges, and she's still in the game. I think her standing as the only two-time winner should be a reason to vote her off. Much like Boston Rob or Parvati still being in the game, you have to give credit to Sandra for still being there. Um, you have to give her some credit for like building these bonds in a way where she has people wanting to work with her. And now, whether the others feel like they're going to use her as a shield or not, that's kind of Sandra's game. If you don't get her out early, this shield method will eventually work to her advantage. Where other people, like after a swap or the merge, will appear as bigger threats than her, despite the fact that she's won twice. And so, with the swap coming up, if Sandra can make it through next week, I think that she is a lock to make it to the merge and possibly much further. So if she can make it through next week after the swap, I think she'll make it to the merge, no doubt. So those are my three highlights. Prediction for next week. The teaser for next week is knowing that there is going to be a swap. Will the swap turn into 2 or 3 tribes? Is it possible to see a swap to 4 teams? I mean, how crazy would that be to see a swap to 3 or 4 tribes? I imagine it will be a swap to 2 teams. But there are 15 people left. Does it mean they'll bring someone back from EOE to make it 8 players a team? Is it unlikely that they'll bring someone back from EOE to fill 4-person teams to swap to 4 teams? That's probably not going to happen, right? Will they make the teams uneven, meaning someone has to sit out of the challenge? Or will they swap into 3 teams of 5? Honestly, it's hard to imagine, or hard to know what's going to happen because there are so many different scenarios that can play out with a swap. I'll say there's a swap to 3 teams of 5 players. I have no clue how that would work out long term. I can't imagine they would want to do that more than one episode. But that's what I'll say. So this is perhaps my dumbest prediction I've made so far. We're 4 episodes in, so there's likely to be more dumb predictions along the way, but I'll hold true to to a swap of 3 teams. And if they do make a swap like this, I could see an early merge or doing another swap immediately when they bring a player back from EOE. So after a swap, I'll say one of the kings or queens of the game will be voted off, whether it be Queen Sandra, Parvati, Boston Rob. If there's a swap, I'll say if Boston Rob's on the losing tribe, he's the one going home. So that'll be my pick for who gets voted off next week. Okay, that's what I have for this week. Thank you to everyone for taking the time to listen to me as I share my dorky insights into this game of Survivor. Make sure to stay tuned next week, and I'll be back again to cover what happens after the swap. Again, thank you for listening. All right, I'll see everyone next time. Okay, bye.